So I've showed you guys a number of examples of the media being just totally gross and sycophantic to Biden in a similar way that Fox News was like that to Trump, and now One American News Network and Newsmax were like that to Trump. I mean, you had the example of the CNN host saying, the lights in D.C. look like Biden's arms stretched out to give the country a warm embrace. That was one thing that was disgusting. The first question for Biden's White House press secretary, the very first question was something along the lines of, do you believe in truth? Or do you want to smear us truth tellers like the previous administration? And she was like, I believe in truth. And everybody's like, oh, truth. Oh, I love truth and my opponents hate truth. It's just so childish from beginning to end. And the examples go on and on. One of the main questions that they screamed at Biden during the inauguration day, CNN was saying, Sir, can you unify the country? So listen, they're playing favorites. All corporate media outlets are going to love Biden in the same way Fox News loved Trump and defended Trump. And we're watching it in real time. But now I want to go back again, give you one more example of this. This is from Inauguration Day on MSNBC. Take a look.
To me, so striking about today was that kind of comforting sense, even with the masks, even with the distancing, even without the crowd, those shots inside Statuary Hall that we're familiar with, from every inauguration, the sight of the Clintons and the Bushes and the Obamas, the Avengers, sort of the Marvel superheroes back up there together, all in one place, with their friend Joe Biden, all of them, I think, feeling like that all of them sharing that same view that a lot of Americans had, which is that, we did narrowly avert catastrophe in America, and that they were all there to kind of to buttress their buddy Joe Biden and see him in some ways as the natural and necessary corrective to what's been going on. And I think the things, you said soaring a second ago about the speech. I agree. There was a lot about the speech. It was soaring. It may have been the best speech Joe Biden's ever given. It was certainly, I would argue, the most important in the sense that it was not a political speech at all. It was a speech that had a much higher purpose than that. And I don't want to go overboard and compare it to Lincoln's second inaugural, but aspirationally, that's where it wanted to live.
I don't want to go overboard and compare it to Lincoln, but it's totally like Lincoln. Come on, man. Come on. Listen, it occurred to me that really when it comes to mainstream media, this is cultural for them. It's cultural. Culturally, they're in alignment with a Joe Biden. Culturally, they're in alignment with the Democratic establishment. And so, really, everything else is ancillary to them. Because I watched the same speech that he watched. By the way, I was intelligent, and I waited until after, and I watched it on double speed on YouTube, so that I could, I wasted half the time that all you fuckers wasted, because I didn't want to sit there through the whole thing in normal speed. Anyway, the speech was dripping with platitudes and cliches, and America good and unity good. Now, listen, I get it. Trump genuinely was a divisive president. And so, is there a place for some stuff on unity? Sure. But he didn't say anything really policy-wise in the entire speech, or very little policy-wise in the entire speech. And this is a unique moment in American history. We're in a situation that's even worse than 2008 and 2009 in the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession. We're in a way worse situation like that. In fact, I'm going to get to numbers on that in a different segment. But, so, it's like a Great Depression. We're back in a new Great Depression. And so, everything you should be saying is time to do a New Deal. Time to redistribute from the top to everybody else. Time for real structural reform in this country in a way that really lives up more to the promise of what this country is supposed to be on paper. It really is time for a new FDR economically. And Biden is just given, the speech he gave, it could have been delivered in the late 1970s, the early 1980s, or the 1990s. Like, it's just, he's a politician who's stuck mentally in like the 80s, the Reagan era, where everything is just like, let me blow smoke up Americans' ass and talk about how great everybody is and how great we are and unity's wonderful and America's wonderful and here's some platitudes and here's some cliches and we could do it if we do it together. Do what? I don't know, because he doesn't say that part in the speech. Certainly not Medicare for all. He doesn't believe in Medicare for all. He just released his new plan, and his new plan is watered down even further from when he said, I'm going to do a public option. So now it's, let's expand COBRA and let's do a plan that's approved quite literally by insurance lobbyists. And again, we covered that in a different segment the other day. But like, it behooves me that anybody could look at that speech and say, oh, it's like Lincoln and it's the most important one he's ever given and it was wonderful. I don't know how anybody could believe that unless it's cultural. So literally all they wanted was somebody to go up there and say, Trump is bad, America's good, let's unify or something. Unify around what? You want to know what I'm in favor of unifying around? An agenda for the American people. Take all of the issues. The majority want to raise the minimum wage. The majority want universal health care. The majority want to end the wars. The majority want to raise taxes on corporations and the wealthy. The majority want an infrastructure deal. I will unify around that agenda because that's the people's agenda. But no, when he talks about it, he just means like, let's all agree Trump is bad and America's good, and I'll do some tweaks around the edges and shut up and take it and love it. And the media is going to do exactly that. They're going to love it. They're going to love it. Whatever little crumbs. Oh, yes, so much better than Trump. Yes. What a low bar. What an insanely low bar. And final point is the Avengers thing, man. Oh, Jesus Christ, the Avengers thing. I want to die. Imagine looking at Bush, Obama, and Biden and saying, the Avengers, the superheroes are back. The superheroes that presided over a system which led to Donald Trump. How does it not occur to you that by going back to the thing that led to the problem, you're not going to fix the problem? Now, I'm not saying that, Obama or Biden is equally as bad as Trump, because I think that's absurd. But what I am saying is, if they did more, if they really top-down reworked the system, responded properly to the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession, perhaps we would have never gotten Trump in the first place. We would have never gotten Trump. So, their half measures backfired, and now the media is cheering the new half measures which are coming and calling them the Avengers. I mean, George W. Bush is a torturer and a war criminal. Obama continued many of those foreign policy failures. He bailed out Wall Street just like Bush did. They both bailed out Wall Street. No strings attached. Bonuses were paid out. Don't act like these people are above criticism, because that's absurd. But that's what the media does. So again, it's cultural. It's cultural for these people. To them, the actual substantive issues are off the table. It doesn't matter. It's all about the aesthetic of Joe Biden and the aesthetic of the establishment. The adults are back in charge. The adults led to the rise of the man, baby, child, wannabe dictator. God damn it. How do you not acknowledge this? Because they're too busy sucking off Joe and the establishment. So here you go. I mean, the examples are endless. Again, this is why I'm playing a video. How far... It was like a week ago when we had Inauguration Day. I'm still playing a video from Inauguration Day because these are endless. These are endless with how sycophantic they are. Now, the problem is a lot of people will make the mistake of seeing how sycophantic CNN and MSNBC are to Democrats, and then they go to Fox because at least they're not sycophantic to Democrats. But Fox is sycophantic to Republicans. So they do the exact same thing. That's a problem. So it's just pathetic. Our media environment is terrible. And again, I can't think of a better example than this.